6, this is Forecast First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
Looking at our wind speeds this morning, it's around 5 to 15 miles per hour, which is much less than the 40-plus mile-an-hour gusts we had last night. Still, you get occasional gusts, and it might make your steering wheel wobble, so be careful on the roadways. And if you're driving over to the coffee shop, maybe go for that large. Temperatures are in the teens, but it feels like it's near zero right now. At least we'll have some sunshine. We're talking about snow instead, coming up in the full forecast as 6 News This Morning continues.
WLNS is here for you with 6 News This Morning.
A group of men carrying swastika flags make an appearance in downtown Howell during the screening of a new documentary out about a difficult part of Livingston County's history involving the KKK. Good morning, Mid-Michigan. It's Friday, February 7th. I'm Jorma Duran.
And I'm Megan Maselli. Thank you so much for joining us.
6 News is here for you now with this morning's top stories. Reaction continues this morning about a report of 7 to 10 young men gathering across the street from the Howell Theater last night, dressed in black and waving swastika flags.
The Livingston Post reports that the men shouted back and forth with people attending the screening of Face of Hate, but there are no reports of violence.
Now, this is the third time in the past 6 months groups with Nazi flags have demonstrated in Livingston County. The last time it happened was in November when a group of masked men showed up outside of the Howell American Legion while it was hosting a theater performance of The Diary of Anne Frank. Now, this is still a developing story, and 6 News will continue to follow any new developments on air and online at WLNS.com. In the state capitol, lawmakers introduced a new bill to dedicate a portion of a Hillsdale County highway to a fallen deputy.
This legislation would rename part of Highway M34 after Hillsdale County Sheriff's Deputy William Butler Jr., who was shot and killed during a traffic stop.
In June of 2024, authorities say Butler was assisting with a traffic stop and attempted to arrest a man he pulled over. However, that man took out a gun and ended up shooting the deputy. Butler was taken to the hospital by another deputy, where he later died from his injuries. Lawmakers are looking to name the portion of M34 between Pioneer and South Pittsford roads to the Deputy Sheriff William Butler Jr. Memorial Highway. If the bill becomes law, 6 News has learned private funding would cover the cost of putting up and maintaining the highway markers.
In Washington, 2 Michigan lawmakers reintroduced bipartisan legislation to help prevent tuberculosis, which can be deadly. Congressman John Molinar and Congresswoman Debbie Dingell reintroduced the bill. It passed the House unanimously last December, but needed to be presented again to the new session of Congress to have the chance at becoming a law. The 2 Congress members say the bill would require the Department of Health and Human Services to carry out policies to stop tuberculosis infections through research and the screening of tissue donations. They say it would honor Chandra Izinga, a woman from Osceola County, who they say died in 2023 from a tuberculosis infection, which she contracted when receiving a bone graft with tissue material that was infected.
The National Collegiate Athletic Association, better known as the NCAA, has now updated its policy for transgender student athletes to reflect the new executive order from President Donald Trump. The new policy bans transgender athletes from competing in women's sports specifically. That ban also applies to women athletes who are receiving hormone therapies like testosterone, even if they're not transgender. Trans athletes are still allowed to compete with male sports teams.
This morning, President Donald Trump and the federal government now face legal challenges on several fronts, nearly 3 weeks into his second term.
It comes as federal workers now have a few more days to decide whether to take the Trump administration's offer to resign.
Here for you now is Naomi Ruckham.
Federal civilian workers now have until Monday night to decide if they want to step down under President Donald Trump's deferred resignation offer. A federal judge in Boston temporarily halted the program as he also considers a legal challenge from unions.
The judge is saying, let's pause until I hear more.
The White House press secretary says tens of thousands of federal employees have already accepted the offer of full pay and benefits through September 30th.
We encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer.
Union leaders and Democrats in Congress are warning them not to take the buyout.
Beware of this offer. I don't believe it's been funded.
Overnight, the Trump administration appealed a Washington state federal judge's ruling that temporarily blocked his executive order to end birthright citizenship.
This was not meant for the whole world to come in and pile into the United States of America.
That filing came hours after another federal judge in Maryland also ruled against the president's order.
We do not have a king. We have a president who must abide by the laws.
Meanwhile, CBS News has learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James and several other attorneys general will challenge Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency over its access to sensitive systems and data. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
From Storm Tracker 6, this is Weather on the Sixes, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
The Capitol cameras showing the wind is still out there, but it's not as gusty as it had been. And actually, we'll be able to see some sunshine here soon since we have mostly clear skies. Our sunshine outlook today, sunrise 7:46, seeing sunset right at 6 o'clock, giving us 10 hours and 14 minutes of total daylight. Getting better here now that we're headed towards the end of winter, and meteorologically, it still has a chance for snow since temperatures are well below freezing. We are seeing a little bit of lake effect closer to the lake shore, not nearly as much as if this had happened back in December, though, because our lake water temperatures have cooled down. Part of lake effect snow is having warm enough water that it evaporates the moisture and then it creates the snow. Just not happening now. Instead, we have to rely on systems more, and there's a little hint of one over towards the Siouxland area. Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, starting to see some inklings of snow that could move into mid-Michigan tomorrow. Brady's prepared for anything, even if his face doesn't show it. He has a sweater on, a bow tie, and he's kind of like, red paw? It's only for the morning. That's because our wind chills feel like it's near zero outside. But later on for the afternoon, we should feel like it's in the upper teens. And the sunshine will help boost it a little bit more than that.
Yeah, we need that wind to die down.
Yeah.
It has a little bit since the overnight. I'm sure many of you maybe felt it. I did.
Oh, yeah. Well, my forearms were getting a workout while driving. I'm just like, oh gosh, because it was right in the side of the car.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife gave me the text this morning. First text was couldn't sleep. The wind was too violent. I know.
That's how I was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just be glad there weren't leaves on the trees, because if you had that kind of wind with leaves, it acts like a kite sail and it just forces more pressure on the trees and it causes more limbs down. So should be less limbs out there.
There you go.
We were talking about recycling. I didn't even put the bin out. Forget it.
Oh, I know.
Next week,
there were a couple of trash cans on the other side of the street this morning. I was like,
yeah, that's not me.
I usually do it when I leave for work, and I felt,
yeah, good.
I'm going to skip a week.
All right, well, us here at TV6 are getting ready to celebrate the 75th anniversary of WLNS-TV this year, and we need your help.
If you have any pictures or videos from back in the day, we set up a folder for you to upload your memories. To share them, just head to WLNS.com/75.
And we'd love to use them on the air, and if you're willing to talk about it, let us know in the comments, and we may be in touch.
Coming up, a popular bookstore in Meridian Township is getting ready to open its new location. We've got the details in our What's on the Web segment.
All right, the time, 6:38. Thanks for watching 6 News This Morning.